When it comes to affordability, quality of life, access to the USA, and overall well-being, it is very, very hard to compete with Medellin Colombia. If you guys don't know, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, and I've had the opportunity to make 70K in Atlanta, Georgia, and I've had the opportunity to make 70K in Medellin, Colombia. My 70K in Atlanta had me with 3 roommates, and it had me checking the bill on every date I went out because I knew at minimum I was spending $100 anytime I took a girl out in the city. On the flip side, my 70K in Medellin gets me a beautiful 1-bedroom or studio apartment. It gets me the ability to eat wherever I want to eat generally and be able to afford it. And it gets me a great quality of life. I have so much more access to different activities, different opportunities. So beyond all those things I just mentioned, Medellin is also a big digital nomad, remote worker hotspot. And all that means is that it's an infrastructure for you to complete your work correctly. That means they have places with good Wi-Fi, they have coffee shops where you can work from, they have co-working places where you can work from, and just things that support quality work when you're working online. And honestly, Medellin still isn't a major city that's on people's radar when they think about South America. And unfortunately, that's because of the narco-terrorism and drug past that Medellin has. But if you've been to Medellin, you understand that this isn't the same city as when Pablo Escobar was here in the 1990s and 1980s. In this video, I want to show you guys why I love Medellin and why I've made this a place where I've done 2 long-term stays now over the past 2 years. And honestly, why I'm considering making it my long-term destination for the future. So if you're coming down here, no matter how long, it could be a few days, it could be a few months, generally the tourists will stay in 2 major destinations. And this is in Poblado, which is the main tourist destination, and then Laureles, which is the middle class, 50-50. You'll see some Colombians, some tourists staying over there as well. I've actually had the opportunity to stay in both of these places, and I want to show you guys the apartments that I stayed in when I was living in both of these places. The place you're looking at now is a 1-bedroom studio in Poblado, and this place is pretty solid for me. As a person that lives solo and travels solo, this is quite a lot of space for me. I have the kitchen area, I have a spot to wash everything, I have the living room, you have the actual bedroom, and then I have a whole balcony where I can look out and get a great view. This is really cool for when I'm working in the mornings or when I just want to relax after a long day or something like that. In addition, this place also has a guard. For 1 month in this apartment, you're looking at about 1,100 USD. Now, I will say that this is on the higher end of apartments here in Medellin, Colombia, and that's partly because of my location and also partly because of Airbnb. But if you want to find more economical apartments, I promise you there are a ton that are under 800 USD and that you can get for 1 month. The second spot that I stayed at is in the residential area of Laureles. As I mentioned, if you're over in this area, you might not want to have as many crazy nights as somebody that's living in Poblado. For me, I had a studio apartment in Laureles. It was really nice. It was a studio, but it was so spacious that it definitely felt like it was a 1-2 bedroom apartment in my opinion. And this place came with a gym at the top floor with an amazing view of the city when you work out in the morning. Also, it came with the laundry room and like a little area outside too where you could chill and relax. If you compare this apartment in Laureles to a major city in the US, you would be lucky if you could pay 1,500 USD for this apartment. So for the place that I just showed you in Laureles, in my opinion, it was a little bit nicer. This place also did have a guard too. And for 1 month here, it will run you about 1,300 USD. Now for all my fitness people, you guys know that working out and what you eat are directly correlated. You could really argue that what you eat is a lot more important than working out. I say this to say that Medellin helps me out so much with my diet. I always speak on this app. At this point, I should be a paid sponsor. If somebody from Rappi is watching, talk to your boy. Guys, I love the Rappi app. Not only is it affordable meals delivered to your doorstep, but there are so many healthy options here in Medellin. Rappi has at least 20 or 30 that you can choose from, and they're delivered to your door or right outside of your door. This to me is the equivalent of doing a meal prep service in the US. And a meal prep service in the US would literally cost 4 to 5 times the price of what I'm getting here in Medellin, Colombia. So as I mentioned during the week, some days I definitely like to order 3 meals or something like that. But after work, there's a beautiful city all around me. And one of my favorite activities to do is to hit a pueblo. A pueblo is a little town that is close to Medellin. And one of my favorite pueblos to hit is Jardine. I was actually in Jardine about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I got a crazy deal on a cabin out there. This was literally a cabin slash house. It had a kitchen area that was massive. They had an area where you could literally just sit back, relax, and do nothing if you wanted to. Then the actual house itself was beautiful. It was super romantic vibes. It screamed vacation. It had a jacuzzi on the outside with amazing views. I mean, I'm talking about we kicking back, feet on the jacuzzi, drinking some wine, the vibes you dream about. You know, we out here in Jardine, Antigua. We out here in Jardine, Antioquia. And if that wasn't enough, they even had a walkway that went to a secluded part of the river that was literally private just for us. So we had an entire section of this river where we could just chill, relax, and do whatever came to mind. For this place, I only paid 100 USD per night, which is expensive if I was living there. But for a vacation spot, this is super cheap. In America, by any major city, if you wanted to get away for the weekend or something like that, you would be lucky if you get to pay 300 USD per night for a place. Again, that's the advantage of being in South America, about being in Medellin, Colombia. You get things at a fraction of a price. And if you make USD, life becomes very fun. So beyond the actual cabin, one of my favorite activities to do on Jardine was horseback riding. Like I said, these pueblos are deep in the mountains. 9 times out of 10, there's an instructor in these pueblos that has done this same tour for 20, 30, 40 years. So you're going with a trusted expert. When I went horseback riding in Jardine, it cost me about $15 for a 3 or 4 hour journey, which, as you guys could guess, is an amazing price. If you compare this to something in the United States, you're talking $60 to at least $100 for the same type of tour. Now, when you're actually in the city of Medellin, one of my favorite activities that I've done so far is visit the Pablo Escobar Museum. And I know a lot of Colombians have very, very strong opinions on Pablo Escobar, but the truth of the matter is that he's an important part of the history of Medellin and of Colombia. And I think as people who love to travel, people who love to see culture, he is a part of that history and a part of that culture in Colombia. So I had a really good time there. I learned a lot talking to these tour guides. You can see his cars, you can see his planes, you can see pictures of his family, and you can learn about stories that aren't on the narcos and that aren't online, because these are people who are actually connected to his family or connected to people that knew Pablo. So you're getting stories that aren't really publicized as much. So I would highly suggest taking some time, and you'll look at Pablo in a different way. I'm not here to say whether he's good or bad. Anybody that's a narco terrorist, I can't really defend, but there are a lot of sides to Pablo Escobar that really weren't told. So I would definitely suggest go check out the Pablo Escobar Museum. So like I said, I understand the Pablo Escobar Museum might be a little controversial for some people. So if you still want to get an idea of the history and the culture of Medellin, Colombia, I would suggest you go to El Centro. What I've been told by the locals is this is the Corazon de Medellin, the heart of Medellin. So when you go there, you're gonna see a lot of local activities. You're gonna see people selling things. You're gonna see people playing games.
Yeah, I don't know what bro's supposed to be doing, but whatever he's supposed to be doing, he's not doing it.
You're gonna see a ton of food, a ton of shopping. Most of it is fake stuff, but it does look good. So if you're into that,
They got some nice fake stuff out here, man. I ain't gonna hold you.
they have a ton of opportunities to buy some fake brand name things. You can just kind of get a feel for how it would be if you were a local living in Medellin, Colombia. Now, the caveat I will give with that is that El Centro is a cool place to visit, but definitely, you know, keep your wits about you. Make sure you look to your left, make sure you look to your right, and be careful about the streets you walk down there. It does get a little sticky in some places, so definitely be aware and watch your surroundings when you go. I would say the most touristy activity you could do in Medellin is probably Communa 13. If you guys don't know, Communa 13 is a community that used to be one of the most dangerous barrios and neighborhoods in Medellin. But after so much violence and murder and killing, the citizens stood up and said, hey, we're not taking this no more in our neighborhood. We need something better. We need a new opportunity. And they started working to get anybody that was doing crime, doing killings, doing anything out of their neighborhood. And they transformed this into a beautiful tourist destination full of Colombian culture. I love walking through the streets and seeing what people are selling, the people dancing on the side, and just taking in the general vibes of the area. Communa 13 is located on a beautiful walkway, so you also get an amazing view of the city. The cool thing about Communa 13 is that it's completely free. What will happen when you go is that maybe there'll be a local that offers to show you around and give you a little bit more history than what I've told you about Communa 13. And honestly, if you can, book the tour. Help them out. This is how they make their money. This is what keeps Communa 13 up and running. It won't cost you more than $10, $15. And for Colombian, especially in that area, $10 or $15 makes a big difference. So definitely support. Now, even if you're like me, somebody that really tries to eat healthy and do salads and vegetables and all of that, at some point you're gonna wanna go outside and go to a nice restaurant and grab some food. When that time comes, I highly recommend you go to a spot called Alembic. If you walk past Alembic, you won't even know you walked past Alembic because it literally looks like a warehouse on the outside. But once you go inside, you walk through this jungle-like hallway, you go upstairs, and it's like, wow, this is a beautiful, beautiful restaurant that is literally hidden from the outside. So not only is the restaurant itself beautiful, but the food is fire. I have been to Alembic multiple times. I'm gonna go back multiple times. In fact, I might just go back tonight. In a spot like Alembic in Atlanta, I mean, you're looking at $80, $90 for a meal for two at minimum. For a nice meal at Alembic, it'll run you about 30, 40 bucks. And that's if you add some drinks, you add the appetizer, you add the entree, all that together is about $40. Fellas, imagine if you could take a girl out on a date to a nice restaurant, not even trying to be cheap, and all you paying is $40, $50. Y'all, when I was in Atlanta, I was paying $100 at minimum for dates. So this is a whole different game out here. Now, if you're looking just for a regular restaurant, somewhere a little bit less fancy, there's actually a ton of restaurants all through Medellin that cater to all types of people. So whether you like fast food, whether you want a burger, whether you want to sit down and eat a meal, whatever you want, you really do have that option. The main places to eat at restaurants, nice restaurants, are definitely in Laureles and Poblado. So if you're in that Poblado/Provincia area and Laureles, you'll be fine. There's a ton of places to go to. And generally speaking, most of these places will not run you over $10, $12 for just a regular sit-down restaurant for some food. So even when you go out and decide to eat out, you still have really affordable options too. Now let's talk about getting around the city. Honestly, Medellin has a ton of different ways to get around the city, but my main way of transportation is through Didi or Uber. These are both ride-sharing apps. A normal ride in Medellin will not cost you over $6 max. And that's if you're kind of going like a pretty long distance. You compare that to somewhere like Atlanta, man. I think I paid $30 for my Uber and it was 15-20 minutes away. When you talk about savings, you talk about quality of life, that's such an important factor in it, how you get around. And I thought I'd save the best for last. One of Medellin's acclaim to fame, the nightlife. The major center for nightlife is definitely in the Provincia Poblado area. And in that Provincia area specifically, you can find 30, 40 places to go. And that'll be a mix of bars, it'll be a mix of restaurants, there'll be a mix of clubs that you can go to as well. So for nightlife and clubs, I'll give you guys two options of places that I've gone. I'll be honest, I'm gonna divide these up into the paid portion of nightlife and then the regular portion of nightlife. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. For my fellas that come here and you want to pay for whatever you want to pay for, Parque Jardine is definitely the spot where you want to be at. Specifically, there is a club called Jardine Park. In this club, you can essentially feel like you're in America. You're not gonna hear any Spanish music. You're not gonna see anybody that's a male that's not American or a foreigner. And in this club, it's literally packed. If you go on the weekend, there will be 50, 60 to 100 women in that club looking for you, waiting on you. And listen, you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful out there for multiple reasons. It is fun. It's something that I wouldn't suggest you do all the time. I cannot sit up here and lie to you guys like I did not have fun when I went. So if you're here for that side of the tourism industry, definitely hit that one up. If you're here for just fun, partying, going out, Provincia, as I mentioned, is definitely the spot where you want to be at, but specifically LA House has always treated me well. They have 3 floors to choose from, and then each floor has a different set of music. So maybe the first floor is reggaeton, the second floor is salsa, the third floor is hip hop / rap, and you just kind of alternate between those floors and, you know, catch whatever vibe you actually want to catch. That's a wrap for this video. I hope I showed you guys some of the reasons why I love Medellin so much. Medellin is such a misunderstood city, and it's so crazy because these are my favorite people that I've been around as far as being in a country and feeling embraced. When I walk through the streets, I feel safe. When I talk to people, I feel warm and I feel welcomed. And everybody that's ever visited me here has loved it and had the same experience too. If you didn't get anything else from this video, let me speak, if Colombians don't mind, on behalf of Colombians. Medellin is misunderstood, Colombians are misunderstood. Come here and explore this beautiful city, because you won't regret it. Guys, until next time, if you don't know me, my name is World Wild West. I travel the world and give you guys inspiration. Subscribe below, like, comment, all those good things, and guaranteed I'll be back with some more fire. Peace.